Today, the world marks World Orphans Day. Now, this year's theme, AI for Orphans, highlights the growing role of artificial intelligence in improving the lives of orphaned and vulnerable children, expanding access to education, healthcare, and social protection. In Nigeria, where many children are affected by conflict, poverty, and diseases, the conversation is both urgent and relevant. Thank you for joining us on Panorama, because today we will explore how emerging technologies can support more inclusive and responsive care systems for these children. I'm Ruth Aguilera. We'll be right back. Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia has received 13 rescued victims, passengers of Benue Links Transport, who were abducted. The governor commended the efforts of security agencies for ensuring the safe return of the abductees. Let's hear from Elias ETF.
Passengers were kidnapped on Wednesday night, being 15th April 2026, along Makudi-Otukpo Road, 8 of whom were JAMB candidates traveling to go and write their examinations.
We were taken into the bush, like several tortures, like daily. It was a daily routine.
Around 4 a.m. in the morning, they woke us up to go and drink water. And this water I'm talking about is like a lake.
Governor Hyacinth Alia, who received the rescued victims, directed the Ministry of Health and Human Services to ensure that the rescued victims received immediate medical attention at the Benue State University Teaching Hospital.
This will go quite distant to ensure every kidnapper, every bandit, every conman in the state is never prepared to welcome them.
Commissioner of Police Benue State said their release followed coordinated rescue operations by various security agencies and local vigilantes, as well as other stakeholders under the directive of the Inspector General of Police.
We will not tolerate any undesirable element inhabiting any farmland or any forest and using the place to come and terrorize the community.
The CP said 7 suspects in connection with the case have been arrested, while investigations are still ongoing to unravel more information. In Makudi, Elias, ETF, NTA News.
A coalition of youth groups in Nasarawa State says the reforms of the federal government have impacted hundreds of youths in the state, calling on youths to support the present administration. Ali Utijani reports.
Youths in Nasarawa State are counting their gains under the Renewed Hope administration, particularly the impact of student loan, micro loan to entrepreneurs, among other interventions. Converge on Lafia under the banner of National Youth Council of Nigeria in the state. The youth call for consolidation of the reforms for sustainable growth and development of the country. On the 2027 general election, the youth urged their counterparts in the state not to allow themselves to be used by selfish politicians on sentiment of ethnicity or religion, but should vote competency and continuity. Nasarawa youths drum support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu and converse support for Governor Sule's preferred governorship aspirant ahead of party primaries.
He possesses the vision, capacity, and empathy to build upon existing foundation and usher in an era of even greater prosperity and development for all. Therefore, the coalition of youth groups in Nasarawa State, which is a conglomeration of about 26 youth groups across tribes and religion, unequivocally endorses Senator Ahmad Wadada Aliyu for the APC gubernatorial ticket.
In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani, NTA News.
From the aviation scene, airlines operators have suspended a planned nationwide shutdown of flight operations over what they described as crippling fuel prices. The suspension is as a result of government appeal to halt the action pending talks. The airline operators of Nigeria had warned it would halt services from Monday, April 20, saying Surging jet fuel costs have made operations unsustainable. They agreed to pause the action following an appeal from Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, SAN, who called for restraint and dialogue, pending the outcome of a meeting for all concerned parties scheduled for April 22 at the instance of the Aviation Minister. The federal government is intensifying efforts to ensure transparency, accountability and effectiveness in the implementation of the Household Prosperity and Empowerment Cash Transfer Program. Executed through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, the program is being implemented through a strategic engagement and interactive session with beneficiaries receiving 75,000 naira in 3 tranches of 25,000 naira. Otube Achibong reports.
Went into the market, bought vegetable seed, planted it, watered it. As I'm talking to you today, we are still selling those vegetables.
They come to our house and take names, hearts off for some certain things, and I went to a local government primary school. So that is how I was being selected.
Some beneficiaries of Hope City there sharing their joy and experiences while engaging with Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Bernard Toro, on the impacts and challenges of the cash transfer program.
The Hope City program is a one-off intervention meant to cushion economic shocks.
The conditional cash transfer is a strategic social investment tool designed to lift our poorest households out of extreme poverty by providing direct financial support to vulnerable families.
Stakeholders who commended the government in their goodwill messages for the intervention also called for stronger modalities to sustain the program. In Uyo, Utube Achibong, NTA News.
And now let's talk the World Orphans Day. According to research, Nigeria continues to face a rising number of orphaned and vulnerable children due to conflict, poverty and displacement. Many lack access to education, healthcare and social protection, increasing the exposure to exploitation and long-term hardship, and, of course, highlighting the need for more coordinated interventions. Now, today's commemoration of the World Orphans Day draws attention to how artificial intelligence can be used as a tool to help address these challenges. An expert is saying AI can improve data tracking, expand access to digital learning, and strengthen the delivery of healthcare and welfare services. Several targeted initiatives from the federal and subnational, such as the Agile program for girls, have been improving educational opportunities for such categories of children. We have a guest in the studio, an educationist. Please help me welcome Dr. Ogunremi Kende. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Kende.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. You know, I find the theme for this year, the AI for orphans, quite fascinating. But one will ask, for an orphan child, you know, who is in need for food and other basic needs, why do you think this theme is very relevant at this time?
Yeah, the orphan in our community nowadays, they are considered to be people who have or who do not have enough or sufficient resources, access to these resources. And we have to make a way to get those resources to them. Not just food, support, care, but even the learning structure, the education needs to get to them, because AI is not just a tool. It's a tool that helps a child to learn better. Yeah. So we see that when they have access to AI as a tool, it's going to benefit them, and it's going to enhance their learning also when these are available for them.
Of course, which brings the concern, you know, to bridge the divide. Access, providing this support to these orphans is very important. What would be your recommendation in the aspect of society coming together to support them?
To support them. The government, the NGOs, and schools need to work together to do the support in the aspect of providing structured learning, not just sponsoring their clothing, their foods. All these are very important. But foods and support are just today's need. Of course, it makes a child stable. Yeah. They contribute to a child's stability. But structured education, learning, are things that will be useful for them tomorrow. So the NGOs, the schools, the government needs to come together and ensure that these tools also are available for them. And how do we do this? It doesn't mean that we need to give a child a device. We can have what we call a shared access, that is a kind of centralized learning, that a centralized platform where more than 2-3 children can come together and learn together with just a single device, not just a child having access to a device. So when we do that, it's also help or enable us to get in touch or to reach those people who are not having sufficient access to those kind of education. And also we can also partner with the network providers, yeah, so that they can also have access to free internet and enhance the use of AI as a tool that enhances their learning.
And let's not leave out the caregivers of these orphans, which is very important, especially if they are the ones who will impact this knowledge to them. How can they also be supported and be carried along?
Okay, we can do that in sponsorship. That is, everyone must make this as a responsibility. If I decide to sponsor a child today, if I decide to take care of or to take care of orphanage homes today, they will be relieved of those activities, of this their duty. That is, it's not going to be an individual thing, it's going to be a partnership. We are going to work together to achieve this, because those people who do this, or let's even talk about the private organization who sponsored or have orphanage, most of them are tired, most of them are overworked, they've been overworked, yeah, because of the lack of resources. So as a community, when we come together, when we do this, it helps them. So we don't just need to give a kind of campaign, but we have to do a structured real life stories, examples, and make people see that these people actually need our help. So when this happens, at least we know we can get also to them.
All right, Dr. Ogunremi, we'll pause just for a bit. We have to take a break. We'll be back to pick up with the conversation. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. And we're just having a chit-chat with Dr. Ogunremi Kende, an educationist, on the World Orphans Day. Dr. Ogunremi, you were talking about the importance of AI, which can be leveraged, to address some of these gaps in terms of promoting digital learning, but also strengthening the legal framework systems that protect these children to ensure, it's also looking at improved data tracking and all of that. But how do we begin to build a system that protects these children?
Yeah, the system needs to be very clear, because one of the things that make this system a very transparent one is clarity and being clear. Because many people really want to help, but they think they are being held back by unclear processes. In fact, fear of legal complications. Yeah. And also we have processes that are long and not that clear. So we should also see how we can manage this, that the process should be clear enough and have a very simple, transparent legal processes that everybody can see that there's the guidelines. If you want adoption, if you want sponsorship, these are the guidelines. Nothing that is not really clear. It should be a straightforward system that everybody can see that, okay, those are the paths to take when you want to sponsor, when you want to adopt, and this also is going to kind of protect both the child and the sponsors.
Indeed, and the aspect of data has been a very big challenge. We can't just pin the number of the orphans we have. It's just always an estimate and all of that. How would this AI, for orphans that the world is focusing, help build a very strong network for them?
Okay, this AI tool is we can say in a kind of way that when you make use of AI tools, there is no information you actually want that you can't really get. The world is a kind of a global world.
Yeah.
So when you just have access to the AI tools, we're not talking about what we are not supposed to generate, but when we have access to AI tools, you can actually get any information you want. You can get data on the numbers of orphans that we have in the country, the numbers of orphans we have in the community. You can even get the address, where to go to sponsor, for sponsorship, to adopt, to do so many things. You can get the nearest orphanage in your area. When you have access to AI, you can, it's something you can just log in and ask questions, just a kind of know the right things to ask, and you get the right answer. So it's help us also as the community to know where to go, the right orphanage to go, how the system runs, the clarity, and the kind of trust that we can have on even those who operate this orphanage.
All right, before I let you go, it's World Orphans Day, of course, and I know on days like this, people would want to go show that love, solidarity, and all of that. What will be your message in terms of the mindset, the orientation people carry around these people, around the special kids, so to say?
Okay, I'll say one of the mindset that people have about orphanage is just lack of trust and clarity. And when this is out of, because I said the other time that many people really want to help, but the fear of unclear processes, lack of transparency actually keep people back. That's okay, if I do this, if I bring this, where will it actually get to? So when this is being structured, when we have a clear system that actually tells us that these are really the beneficiaries of what people are bringing, then I think it will help them. I think, yeah, that would go a long way. And also, we are not talking about just support of food and care and clothing. It's fine. All those things are very, very necessary. But beyond that, a child needs consistent learning, needs consistent education, needs a very structured education, and also guidance and mentorship. These are very important. So beyond food, beyond care, beyond clothing, also we have to make sure that access to learning, structured education gets to the orphan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ogunremi, talking about not leaving any child behind. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. She's an educationist. All right, so let's turn to other issues. Understanding geodiversity is vital to Nigeria's sustainable development and cultural preservation. Geoscientists are now calling for urgent action to protect the country's geological heritage as a key part of its national identity and economic future. Lydia Sampson reports.
Omar Rahman, a revered geologist whose influence spans generations, is being celebrated at 80 with a distinguished lecture highlighting both his legacy and enduring relevance to Nigeria's scientific community.
Someone who has in his mind, in his heart, in his behavior, and in his consciousness, every time, the betterment of others.
The event, jointly organized by the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, Nigeria Association of Petroleum Explorationists, and the Nigerian Mining Geosciences Society, brought together industry leaders, academies, and former students whose careers bear the imprint of Rahman's mentorship.
Over the decades, he has shaped minds, influenced institutions, and contributed meaningfully to the development of Nigeria's energy sector.
Beyond his academic brilliance, speakers painted a portrait of a humble teacher, a nation builder, a passionate advocate for sustainable resource management, as his work continues to shape policy, inspire curiosity, and deepen understanding of the earth beneath Nigeria's feet. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Women are increasingly demonstrating that they are the true backbone of the family when it comes to food production and processing. You can't take it away from them. Many have risen to become the breadwinners of their households through agricultural entrepreneurship. Musa Baba Aliyu, our correspondent, recently encountered some of these remarkable women farmers, including a 56-year-old visually impaired woman who is actively involved in vegetable and cassava farming.
In a remote rural community in Igoba, Akure North local government area of Ondo State, lives 56-year-old Omeyemi Ruth Adekunle. She became blind in 2015 following an undisclosed illness. Prior to her condition, she was a prominent cassava and tomato farmer in her community.
The time this challenges come around, my husband leave me and my children and go away to go and marry another one.
Madam Omeyemi refused to abandon what she knows best, farming.
If I want to plant to plant tomatoes, I use my hand to measure it. One, I will put small, I will plant it. So after that, if I want to come out the grass, I will touch the tomatoes because I know the texture of tomatoes in my hand.
She later joined a group of women farmers managing a greenhouse established in the community by the federal government under the Life ND project.
If government help me, I will be happy to do this thing enlargement.
And about 100 kilometers away in Owena community, Ondo East local government area, lives Yetunde Salami, a widow. She is involved in the large-scale production of cocoa seedlings, which serves as her primary source of income. Yetunde was trained and empowered through the federal government IFAD support project. She now raises and supplies cocoa seedlings not only across Ondo State, but to other parts of the southwest region.
The federal government trained me and gave me the capital to start this business.
Apart from Omoyemi and Yetunde, dozens of other women have been empowered through these initiatives and are now the breadwinners of their families.
So they are into vegetable production, talking about tomato, cucumber, and pepper. They are doing very well.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, described the project as truly unique.
Our priority is to graduate students with skills to apply this research, solve real agricultural problems, align with development needs, and drive the transformation of our agri-food system.
He said the Life ND is essential and truly unique with its incubation model, which nurtures entrepreneurs through skill development and structured mentorship. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
We celebrate all the female farmers out there. Vice President Kashim Shettima has extolled the legacy of the late Israel Chuba Owu, father-in-law of Chief Tony Elumelu, saying he lived a life well spent, planting values that are visible in the lives of his children. He stated this when he led the federal government delegation to the funeral ceremony of the late Egbu Ogbui in Onitsha Oluna community in Anyocha North local government area of Delta State, conveying the condolences of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the family of the deceased, as well as the people and government of Delta State. The Vice President said those who understood the story of the late elder statesman are aware that his wisdom and calm leadership helped in guiding the economic development in the country.
The life he lived and the examples he set. Let me also take a moment to acknowledge the grace of longevity that surrounds this family. Yes, Mama Suzanne Elumelu, a daughter of Delta, as well as of Jos Plateau State. He speaks impeccable Hausa. As he approaches a remarkable milestone, we are reminded that God, in His wisdom, has blessed His family richly.
Vice President Shettima also paid a condolence visit to the Elumelu family country home, where he was conferred with the traditional title of Odoziani I of Anyocha, a reverend honor bestowed on distinguished personalities in recognition of their service, leadership and contributions to the society, as well as their support for the progress and development of the community. And that's it on Panorama. Thank you so much for being part of it. Do have a beautiful day ahead. I'm Ruth Aguilera.